With Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, the New York Times reports that former VP Joe Biden took heat on Thursday night during the second Democratic debate over his history and past statements, with Senator Kamala Harris making a strong showing and challenging the Democratic frontrunner over his recent statements about working with segregationist senators. Now, she wasn't the only one to go after Joe, and I'll have another clip of who else got to him. But here's the clip of Kamala.
No, everyone just abandoned the room.
Sweet.
Oh, okay.
She did well.
Yes,
They're worth playing.
Vice President Biden, do you agree today
Dramatic
that
music.
you were wrong to
Guardian.
oppose busing in America? Then,
No.
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well,
I
there
did
was
not
a
oppose.
failure of states to integrate
No,
public
but-
schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a
So
local
that's
decision.
where the federal government must step
The
in. That's why
federal
we have the
government
Voting
must
Rights
step-
Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA.
So that was a big applause point for her. And then, oh, by the way, Biden said that was a mischaracterization of my position across the board. But then it was Eric Swalwell's turn to take a jab at Biden with some age jokes. And watch Biden's face as it goes from I'm getting a compliment to, oh, I'm very much not getting a compliment.
I talked to Garrigus about Kamala Harris. And he says, well, she has an advantage because she's a prosecutor. Like, she's used to being
Right.
up on her feet
Sure.
and arguing with people. So
She's good at it.
Has
She's
those,
good. It
has
shows.
those bones.
Yeah.
She's a colossal blowhard, but okay.
But it's working for
Swalwell's
her.
dumb.
No.
He's a dumb dude. Like, I've heard him. There's people like you agree with and you
Right.
disagree with, and I don't agree with anything that Kamala Harris says because she's a fucking victim and she's lying, but she's smart. Swalwell's dumb. So there's different people have different levels
different ways
of,
to attack
of
us.
whatever. He's a dumb dude.
Well, then this was his line of the night.
Okay.
6 years old when a presidential candidate
was 6 years old.
came to the California Democratic Convention and said, it's time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans. That candidate was then Senator Joe Biden. Joe Biden was right when he said it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans 32 years ago. He's still right today. If we're going to solve the issues of automation, pass the torch.
You see him go, that's right. Wait a second.
Boy. Poor Joe.
Yeah.
Not woke enough.
Are they all collectively going to try to do to him what everyone collectively on the Republican side tried to do to Trump?
Well,
they all just swarmed together. And tried
At
to go
this
after him.
point, there's only one spot. It's musical chairs, and there's only one chair at the end of the day that somebody can be sitting in. So you will go after everyone in your classroom, and then at a certain point, it's time to take on another school.
Right.
That's the Republicans.
Right.
But for now, we got to
Let's
duke it
focus
out
on-
over
Right.
at Colfax Elementary. So that's how it's going to work.
That's right.
Which always makes it kind of weirdly satisfying because you're used to the other side, one side of the aisle, battling with the other side of the aisle. But in this case,
You gotta weed 'em out
for this
first.
process, one side will battle with itself for a long period of time.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, Harvey Weinstein has a new legal team again. The disgraced producer hired Chicago lawyers Donna Rotono and Damon Sharonis to replace Jose Baez, who bailed on the case earlier this month. Rotono says she seems very confident. She says, once the trial starts, I think everyone will see that the facts are good for us. I've tried many sexual assault cases, probably more than any female they could find for a case like this. The duo will have to hit the ground running. His trial is September 9th. And by the way, Harvey can't afford to lose these guys because the September 9th trial is reportedly non-negotiable. Like, this is it. You don't get to keep cycling through more lawyers, and we're not moving the date.
Yeah, they'll let you kick the date back for various issues. Getting new counsel is that. But at some point, they go, this is the date.
Yeah, figure it out.
That'll be that. So he may have to fake a heart attack.
Oh, he should represent himself. That'd be great.
Didn't Suge Knight take a fall during an arrament?
I don't know, but if you see Harvey Weinstein and somebody said he went into cardiac arrest, no one can ever go, liar.
Yeah, that adds
He's
up.
a picture of health. Look at him.
You're kidding me.
No way.
Don't try to pull it over on me.
That's right.
Yeah, so, all right. Well, again, Garrigus said he had the best in the business 2 times ago,
right.
and he keeps stepping down the ladder. So we don't think that's going to help him. But his arrogance may just be his undoing.
Right.
His
in
arrogance.
more ways than one.
Yeah, his initial arrogance was his undoing, and now his arrogance of sit down, shut up, let me handle this case, his arrogance is rearing its ugly head again and is going to be his undoing possibly for good.
Although I think it cannot hurt him that he has a female on his side.
Oh, there's always those optics. I mean, there is always the optics of the female or the race or the whatever. I mean, they're always doing that. They're always trying to pick the jury that way.
Right.
I mean, Garrigus always says, I'll tell you whether we win or lose by who we get to pick as the jury.
Right.
Once the jury, they get the jury they want, they know.
Wow.
That's why it's so important. But the other side knows too, so that's why you got to do battle.
Right. Well, going down the legal line here, the man who accused Kevin Spacey of groping him at a Nantucket bar has sued the actor. And you think, well, didn't we already cover that? No, because right now, Kevin Spacey's in the middle of a criminal suit. Now, this is more of a civil suit. The alleged victim is seeking unspecified damages for severe and permanent mental distress and emotional injuries.
For being groped?
Yeah. Who, texting with his girlfriend the whole time, kind of laughing about it. Spacey.
Yeah. Nobody, look, look, at a certain point, here's what we need in the law. Because things aren't definable. You go, you got groped, many people have been groped, and many people have brushed it off. And didn't even leave the party, just like slapped the guy's hand or something and went back to their conversation. It's a zero burger. Other people have been groped and had damages that were not repairable in their lifetime, usually based on how much money the person who groped them had, which I would argue shouldn't factor in so heavily.
Total coincidence.
But we need at a certain point to say, if somebody taps you from the rear end in your car and there's no damage and you claim to have a back problems and spasms and you can no longer go to work, but the person that hit you was a rich person versus an out of work illegal Mexican who's driving a gardener's truck, no lawsuit. Which is it? My point is this. I don't think there should be paydays for groping. Or if there is, the person that was groped, the person who did the groping should have to pay into the March of Dimes $1,000 or whatever it is. You being the recipient of a grope, if you were groped and that has caused long-standing emotional issues in your life, then you're either a liar or you're broken. If somebody hits you from behind at 2 miles an hour and you claim you can never work again, then you're either a liar or you have some sort of spine condition that's not the fault of the person that tapped you from the rear. That's it.
You know what would solve this? And I can see the people thinking like, well, what's to stop the gropers from groping? What's to stop Kevin Spacey from just doing it? And like, it'll cost him $1,000 to march a dime, just grope whoever he wants. It seems like a step backwards. Throwing fists.
Yeah.
If someone comes up to your party and you're Terry Crews and he grabs your nuts, or Kevin Spacey gropes your whatever, throw down. Throw a punch.
Throw a punch.
It sounds like a step backwards, right? Like I said, like away from the...
Go rogue bird on his head.
Just punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And
this stuff used to get settled that way.
And when
and also, you become a pariah and you don't get to come back to parties and nobody gets to invite you and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It can be career damaging,
why did you punch Kevin Spacey in the face? Well,
I'm glad you asked.
Anyway, this person's entitled to nothing. An apology.
Well,
I
would be very curious what Mark Garrigus thinks of this, because this is odd and it seems like there are missing details, but this is all we have so far at the time of recording this. So, and this, I looked up a bunch of different news outlets and they're all they have and are sort of withholding the same amount of information. So this is all I got. ABC News reports an incredibly odd story out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Talk to Garagos about this.
Oh, great.
1 hour ago.
Great. I can't wait. So let me just give the details, and I would love for you to sort of fill in the blanks. A woman was indicted in the shooting death of her unborn child last week. 27-year-old Marche Jones was indicted for manslaughter by a Jefferson County grand jury. Jonas did not fire any shots that killed her unborn baby or shot herself. However, authorities said she started the fight that eventually led to gunfire. So according to CNN, the fight was allegedly about the baby's father, with the police lieutenant saying it was the mother of the child who initiated and continued the fight, which resulted in the death of her own unborn baby. He said the fight caused by the other woman, Ebony James, to react and defend herself.
They're in front of the dollar store.
Yes, they are in front of the dollar store.
Noon on a sidewalk. We have a leader in the clubhouse for definitely not a Jew, Dawson. Alabama, though. Go ahead.
He said he would not describe Jones, Ebony Jones, as... Oh, I'm sorry. He would not describe her as the shooting victim, the woman who her baby got shot. The original suspect at the time, Ebony Jemison, was charged with murder and attempted murder, but those were dropped.
I talked to Garagos about this. And first off, I read the headlines, too. This is why the news is worthless now. You read these, somebody tweets you, and it's like, this woman was shot. And they're charging her in Alabama, only in Alabama. And I'm like, okay.
There's got to be something.
Click on the story,
It's just not how it works. And that's how juries work. Yes, she was pregnant, I guess 5 months pregnant. She found the other woman who was having an affair or whatever with her man or her ex-man, and she physically assaulted this person. This person was being assaulted and I guess pulled a gun out and shot her. And it got put to the jury, and the jury went, well, even though your fetus is dead and even though you're the victim of a gunshot wound, you put this other person in peril, and this person was there able to defend themselves. Now, I've talked to Mark, and you're not allowed to shoot somebody. If somebody's holding you on the ground and they're mashing your head into the sidewalk, you're allowed to shoot them. And you can go, well, that person didn't have a gun or even a knife. Yes, but they're banging your head on the sidewalk. If you throw the person onto the ground, they're not really allowed to shoot you. But then it gets a little murky because they throw you on the ground. Maybe you hit your head on the ground when they throw you on the ground. But in terms of all the crazy headlines, like, can you believe it? How crazy is Alabama? It's like, well, she was physically attacking the other person, and the other person defended themselves with a gun. And that's what the jury heard, and that's why they went, no. Because he said, at least Garagos said, they will indict and they will do this. And if it is a situation, obviously, where the one person's walking down the street and the other person shoots him in the belly, they don't let that person off.
Right.
So that's what it was. I know the stories, and I think a lot of it was the abortion laws and stuff, some of the rulings that came out a few months ago. But it's like, how crazy is Alabama? But
well, it is a crazy story, but there's more details.
It's a crazy story.
They applied the law correctly.
But if you kind of go, well, what happened? Well, she was attacking her. Well, then she was attacking her. Yeah. On the other hand, you got to... The woman who got shot's got moxie. Because... You know, when Lynette was 5 months pregnant, she was in bed.
Putting her feet up.
Eating Haagen-Dazs.
She had a snoogle around her.
That's right. She wasn't throwing down with other gals on a sidewalk at noon in front of a dollar store.
Where she should have been.
I'm just saying, that chick's got it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She's got grit.
Go get her.
She's got a little something called grit. Everyone else is like, oh, my feet are swollen.
Mine too, but I'm attacking my...
I want pickles and sardines, and she's like, put them up. You know what I mean?
Put up your dukes.
I'm saying. Okay. All right, let's do one more.
Oh, well, then we're not going to do this one, because just FYI, Steven Adler seems to have stabbed himself in the stomach.
Wait, was he pregnant?
Was he pregnant?
Yeah. That's what I was following up with that.
That's good.
But he was rushed to the hospital, and it's not considered life-threatening. Okay, so More trouble on the set of the new James Bond movie. The weird stories keep coming out. The production has already been plagued by an injury to star Daniel Craig, an explosion, rumors of an absentee director. Now, a man was arrested for allegedly placing a hidden camera in the women's bathroom. According to The Independent, Peter Hartley, 49 years old, was taken into custody at Pinewood Studios in the UK after the staff received complaints about this hidden camera. It is completely unclear, at least at this point, how this guy's even involved or how he even got in to the movie. It's not like I'm not hearing that he was one of the extras.
The producers were like, I told you the Chuck Berry cameo was a bad idea, but you wouldn't listen.
In retrospect, everything seems obvious. At the time, where were you?
But he had a laser in his guitar. I know. But bringing him on set was a...
Right. Well, despite all these setbacks, the 25th James Bond film is still set to open in April 2020. Brian, maybe you can confirm this. I heard this on the radio the other day, that Daniel Craig wanted to halt the production to be like, we got to fix this script.
Yeah, that never bothered him in the past. They've shot some pretty bad movies in the last couple of years.
All right, let's take 1 second and lock in our votes. The James Bond DB5 going for sale at RM or Gooding coming up in the middle of August.
It is a DB5. Is that a DB9?
No.
There was a DB9 that
No.
famous.
This is the original James Bond car, the silver...
Chris, can you look up what movie it was?
Goldfinger. It's the original.
Oh,
it's the original.
That's pretty.
It's the original car.
Goldfinger was the third movie.
Oh, well, I mean...
The first Aston Martin.
The first Aston Martin when they unveiled the most iconic one. Okay. And I don't know if the car was the star in Her Majesty's Secret Service or whatever the other ones were. I think...
There was a famous Lotus Esprit that went in the water.
That's later.
Yeah.
That's after. So I'm saying before that, did they feature a car?
Almost positive they did not.
Right. So this is I guess it was called like the first James Bond car. Yes,
because there were only 2 movies before that, and they were pretty low key compared to what James Bond had become.
Yeah, and I'm sure he drove a Jag or an Aston Martin or something, but it didn't have machine guns and tricked out. So this is like the first big Bond car.
And this is D1.
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. He's using promotions for Thunderball, but mainly Goldfinger with all the cues.
Well, it was so famous they used it in the process for the next movie,
yes.
Thunderball.
All right, so this car, find what a DB5, not convertible, Dumbo Gary. I mean, just Gary. A DB5 is probably $600,000 these days. I mean, the car itself ain't free, but. And it's hard to tell with some of the memorabilia stuff, you know.
It's getting better and better.
Are we going like over $5 million?
Is this roadworthy? Can you race this?
It's all no, you can't race it.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't race. It's a
sort of vintage
car.
thing. You know what I mean?
No, you can drive it though. It's not a race car. Okay. But you could go out and drive it. I mean, you could go on rallies and do events and do stuff like that.
Sure.
It's not a race car. All right. Yeah.
All right, so in 2018, a 65 DB5, same thing as this James Bond car, sold at RM for $731,000.
All right.
Question for you: how rare is the DB5? This era of the car, like, are there a fair? Is it an especially rare car, or is this?
It's enough to be $700,000.
But that's not a lot, though. By like you see, like the cars that are like 3 or 5 or 10, they go. For,
no, they made a lot of them. They produced them.
Okay,
so they're $700,000, which is enough to be rare, but they probably made 3,000 of them or something like that. They're not insanely rare.
And this goes off for auction this weekend?
No, it's in a few weeks. Okay. But we could also probably find out the estimate.
I have the estimate.
Oh, you do? Where, online?
Yeah.
They put it up already. Interesting. All right.
This is through a classic car auction site.
Okay, so let's try to figure out. Well, that wouldn't be the official estimate, but we'll try to figure it out what it is.
Has this car gone up for auction before?
I don't know, and we won't be able to get to all that.
Okay.
Let's just come up with a number.
I got a number.
Between
it has
the
been
two.
auctioned before, so we can give you that afterward too.
All right, we'll say the estimate. It'll be a big gap. $5 to $7 million.
It's funny. I wrote down 8 for the estimate. I think it'll go for much more. I wrote down 15. I think it'll go for. I think it's one of those. Even dum-dums like me know what this car is. This transcends cars. It is pop culture.
It's weird sometimes, though, that the Batmobiles and the things that you go, oh, are surprisingly Sometimes they don't go for what you think they're going to go for.
Yeah, I wrote down $5 million.
All right.
The estimate is $4 to $6 million.
4 to 6.
So $5 million?
$5 million.
Wow.
Good job, Gene.
There it is.
And it did auction, this car auctioned in 2010, and it sold for 4.6.
That was
Well, then
kind of
it
low
should be-
economy,
yeah.
just coming out of the recession.
It's going to come up. All right. Anyway.
I'm going bold on this one.